You're listening to the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, a podcast of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. It's season 9 here at the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, and we're excited because 9 comes before 10, which comes before, well, you know what I mean. We're having a blast, still talking about all things science fiction, and this season is set to be our biggest and most epic season yet. We're having more fun than we've ever had, and we invite you to invite all of your friends and tune in each week to new episodes as we explore the cosmos of science fiction. We're getting ready to blast off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There is a game people like to play. It's called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. In it, you try to find a link to knowing Kevin Bacon through possible acquaintances, and up to 6 of those are needed to win. Well, today on the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, we're going to modify that game to 1 degree of Gene Roddenberry. Okay, now I'll go first. On today's podcast, we have the honor of interviewing the son of Gene Roddenberry, Eugene W. Roddenberry Jr. Hey, that's right. I win. Woo-hoo. That is correct. Today's guest is the son of the creator of Star Trek. Yet before we begin, a few words about Gene Roddenberry. He is an American hero, and he has had some of the most dangerous jobs possible. He was a pilot in World War II and flew a B-17. And after the war, he flew for Pan Am Airlines and was involved in a crash where he suffered injuries, yet saving the lives of some of the passengers. And then he became a member of the Los Angeles Police Department working the mean streets of Los Angeles. Yet his most dangerous job was becoming a writer and producer for television. And through that, he was able to create Star Trek. Gene married Nurse Chapel. Marjo Barrett. And on February the 5th of 1974, Rod first appeared on planet Earth. Now, I could go on and on about Rod, so maybe just shut up and let him talk. But before we begin, may I introduce the backup crew for the NCC 1701?
Again with the backup crew?
No okay. Bloody A, B, C, D, or so on. We have Adina.
Hey, everybody.
We have Brian.
Hey, it's Brian from Ohio.
We have Cris.
Hey, it's Cris from Toronto.
And you have me, Steve. So that's the A, the B, the C. I guess I'm D for Dad. I don't know. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's
G
get
for Grandpa.
Going. Oh, thank you.
I mean D for Dad. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. With that out of the way, hi, Gene. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, it's great to be here. I'm thrilled to be here. It's great to meet all of you guys. And please, the thing that I have to figure out, and I can't believe I haven't done it in my 51 years, and I can't believe it's been that long, but is getting my name straight. It's not that you get it wrong. It's the fact that I can't make up my mind as to who the hell I am. My name is Eugene Wesley Roddenberry, as my father's, but he went by Gene. And he called me Rod. And so my nickname's Rod. I do go by Eugene. I do go by Rod. I do go by many other unpleasant names if I deserve them. So call me whatever. But I guess I kind of wanted to put that out there because people sometimes wonder if I have a brother.
Well, that's interesting because one of the things I really was on my mind was, how do we address you? As Mr. Roddenberry?
Oh, God,
Eugene?
No.
Rod?
No, Eugene's fine, Rod. Hey, you.
We would not say Junior. No. But
okay.
Let's all stick with Rod, okay?
Works for me.
All right. So, as president of Roddenberry Entertainment, might we open with a State of the Union address on the health of Star Trek and the future of it as well, sir?
Well, you don't start off with easy questions, do you?
No.
That's the hardest question he's ever asked first.
I've never asked if you knew what the weight, what the air velocity of a unladen swallow is carrying a coconut.
Yeah, I forgot what the actual answer is for that.
Yeah. I will answer this by saying a bunch of things that are all true but don't necessarily get right there. You know, Star Trek has been around for almost 60 years now, as many people know. And what it started out in the 60s, 66 to 69, was a show with a captain that was a bit of a cowboy and a swashbuckler, but still had ethics and morals. And even though he may have slept with a few alien women at the time, I think it was all consensual, at least as far as I know.
It was the 60s. Yes.
It was the 60s. I don't know what that means to people, but yes. And then you got a show that was, had a bald captain and a crew that worked together, and there was less cowboy. There was less sword fighting. There was less metaphoric sword fighting. There was more diplomacy. There was more discussion and dialogue about what's right and what is wrong. And I'm going to get, I may or may not get to answering your question, but those are great shows that showed how Gene Roddenberry evolved and his thinking evolved. Being a World War II pilot, being an LAPD officer, doing the things he did, there was a time, no doubt, when he might have been quick to throw a punch. I don't have stories. I'm just saying more likely to do that than to sit down and necessarily have a conversation about the rights and wrongs of whatever the situation might be. Although I think he always was an intellectual. I really do. He wrote poetry. He was a thinker for sure, and he was a forward thinker. But you could see him age. You could see his captain go from Kirk to Picard, and I truly think, and I'm going to get booed out of the room and out of the internet for this, I do think Next Generation was his sweet spot. I do think that was an evolved Gene Roddenberry. I do think that was the idealized vision of the future, and it's my idealized vision of the future. I think that is who we should strive to be. I'm not saying TOS is bad. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it's wrong. But what I am saying is, which ship would you rather be on? Well, I'd rather be on the Enterprise D because it's less likely to get blown out of the sky for a captain sleeping around with all the natives on the planet.
Now, what's interesting is you're the same age. You and I are the same age. You said 51. I'm also 51. I'm just a couple months younger. I'm just a couple months younger than you. And so what's interesting
Don't look at it all.
Thank you. Zoom is very kind
to in the room because I don't want to get beaten up.
Zoom is very kind to me. But no, but I always tell people, because I love all Star Trek. I love all Star Trek, but Star Trek Next Generation was always my core, and I've always related that to the fact that I was a teen. So we were the same age when it was on. Okay, so I've always related that a lot to the fact of the age I was when it aired. That's a very impressionable time in a person's life, those teen years, and so I'm wondering if that's if part of that is also why you might have a feeling about that.
Absolutely.
Is that also a similar feeling to you? I guess
100%, because people who grew up with the original series, they have a similar monologue or dialogue that they would say probably as to why that show spoke to them. I happen to think I'm more right than they are, but I have a feeling they have a similar feeling. Anyhow. The state of Star Trek. So now jump past Next Generation. We have Deep Space Nine, which was a departure from the traditional format. You're on a station, and now you're dealing with characters that aren't necessarily the idealized human. Granted, many of them were aliens, but as we all know in Star Trek, the aliens represent aspects of humanity. And I don't know if the word darker is better. I often say the word darker, but it had a little bit more of a darker feel. It showed us as who we are today, more so, rather than who we could be in the future. I listen, that's open to interpretation on some level. I think it's generally true. I'm not saying it never showed the idealized version of who we are. I'm not saying you can't learn from those characters and they can't grow from their mistakes and become better people. They certainly did. But Next Generation truly showed us who we could be as a team, as individuals, that it's okay to not know, that it's okay to ask for help, that it's okay to be wrong. You're only as good as all the people on your team. Anyhow, moving on, you've got Deep Space Nine hit Voyager, which was a little bit back to next gen exploration, but different, and then Enterprise, which so it is closer to us. It is the darker version, because I would argue that who we are today, and probably in the not so far future, is a darker version of us, and that we all need to work on. Anyhow, that is to say, now you jump. How many years was it from 2005 to 2017?
12 years.
12
yeah.
years. 12 years.
Mhm.
So you've got a whole new group of people re-envisioning a Star Trek that they grew up with, and you've also got, times change. They clearly did from the original series to next gen, and they certainly have from Enterprise to Discovery and all the others after it. Whether you're trying to make the effects more interesting, whether you're trying to keep the drama and the action going, audiences are different in every generation. And you have to try to change your shows to fit that. Or excuse me, that's an argument that can be made. You need to change your shows to fit the audience of the day. And these new shows were a bit more raw and darker. Not all of them, but at least I say they started off that way. And I think that enticed some new viewers. And like before with all the other shows, it might have upset some of the original fans. And so
Interesting.
the fan of Star Trek has gotten wider and wider as to what is Star Trek. And or the spectrum, I should say, has gotten wider and wider. And that is a challenge for me every day. And it's a challenge for everyone who works on Star Trek, because what might be your Star Trek may not be someone else's. And back in the old day when there was only one show or maybe two shows, it was much more narrow as to what is Star Trek. And Gene Roddenberry was around running the show. And so it was not solely his vision, but he certainly set the tone and laid down the law for the most part. And while he was around, for the most part, that had to be followed.
It's interesting you say that, because I always think that there's 4 letters that probably everyone lived by. That was WWGT. What would Gene think? And
Yes,
that was very important towards the development of, I think, of TNG. Is that and after your dad passed away, even more so, what would Gene think?
I think so. But then there's the art of storytelling. And while some people might tell you there's only one way to do it or just a few ways to do it, I disagree entirely. I mean, YouTube proves that entirely wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But, people wanted to do things. They always say you need conflict. And when they say conflict, they don't always mean, although I think this is an issue for me. I think a lot of people do get confused by this term, but conflict doesn't have to be two people fighting. Conflict can be the nacelles having an alien being in them that's sucking down the energy and causing the ship to go crazy. That's a conflict that happens in story, and the ship's going to blow up now because it's not balanced. Whatever sci-fi wording you want to throw in there. And I think that's often missed in Star Trek. I think people mistake conflict as always having to be conflict between characters, and while that needs to be there, it doesn't always have to be fighting. Conflicts can be so a great episode. With the lights, Next Generation. There are 4 lights.
Gosh!
Why am I
those 4
forgetting
lights?
the
Are fun? Yes.
Chain of Command.
Yes.
Chain of Command. Thank you so much. That
How
was.
do we all take a minute?
I know. We're not worthy.
It's late in the day for some of us.
Yeah. That was an incredible episode that sure, it might have had a little bit of action at the beginning going through the tunnels, but now you've got these 2 characters in a room, and you've got a frail old man with no clothes on. He's no action hero. And it's just a dialogue, and it's this battle of wits and thoughts and mind and power, and where real power is power in stringing someone up and holding them against their will, or is power in the mind and not giving in to them trying to break your soul. And my God, that is some of Star Trek at its best.
Mhm.
And there's a
Yes,
number of episodes in all the shows that you can point to and say that was good. That was a perspective that I did not think about or consider, and I never expect to see the mighty Captain Picard strung up half naked or naked like that, and for him to come out as the goddamn hero. Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyhow, so getting to the state of Star Trek. Wow, the probably longest answer you've ever had. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to
We
wrap
don't
it up.
time these things. We don't time these
Okay.
things. Okay.
You know, they're really trying to appeal to a different audience. The team has created, I think at this point, are we at 5 or 6? 5 or 6. So it was Discovery, it's Picard, it's got you got the 2 animated with Prodigy and Lower Decks, and then you've got Strange New Worlds, and of course you've got one on the way. And the great thing about those shows is they had a plan from day one, which I commend them on, is to make these 5 different shows that can speak to 5 different audiences. There was one that was originally geared to young kids, but by the way, Prodigy is not for young kids. It's for adults as well. And it's one of the best Star Treks I've seen, frankly.
It's really good.
Lower Decks is to a more adult audience and plays well, obviously, to fans of Star Trek. But I think it also helps. It's also good for people who haven't seen Star Trek.
It was an entry point for my I guess now, well, he's 15 now, so maybe 2 years ago, 13, 14-ish. Yeah. The reason it was an entry point is because we'd be watching it together, and then I'd be like, he'd be like, what was that about? And I'd be like, oh, well, we got to go watch this old Next Generation episode, or we got to watch this old original episode. And so now he has not become the Trekkie his mom is, but still he would watch more Trek with me. And he did really enjoy Lower Decks with me. So I consider that, it's an entry, a gateway Trek.
Yeah. Yeah. You had Discovery, which was a little darker, and it was earlier in the timeline, and there was a little bit more conflict in that. And of course, as the seasons went on, that lightened up and got more into exploration and aliens and communication and making the right decision. Strange New Worlds, which has started off really wonderfully as an exploration Star Trek, bringing in a few of the characters, or maybe quite a few of them. And I will not let the cat out of the bag as to where it's going. And then Picard, which was a walk down memory lane on some level.
Yes, it was.
So I commend them on creating these new shows. I think it's part of it is trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. I think realizing that there isn't one thing necessarily. Although I will argue there is one thing for me and what I consider to be Star Trek and what I consider to be Roddenberry Star Trek. But I guess I'm not really answering your question. It is in a place right now where there are numerous different shows, numerous different formats, numerous different takes and timelines as to what's going on in that timeline and how it relates to Starfleet and that philosophy. Ultimately, I will say all of these things, more often than not, still have the message of Star Trek. In their own way, they say, we are better in the future. We can be better in the future. And while we're still incredibly flawed as a species and make plenty of mistakes, we can grow and learn from those mistakes. And that is, if anything, that should be the very minimum of what we have in Star Trek, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, what was interesting, I still want to follow up on one of the things you said, because this is, I guess, I'm going to be thinking about this probably for the next week. Taking, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and it's like this ping pong between, hey, this is what the future could be. Oh, this is how we are now. Oh, this is what the future could. I've never thought of it like that. And yes, I think we've all used the term for Deep Space Nine, like it's a little darker and such. But thinking of it in those terms, like what we want, where we are, what we want, where we are. Yeah. I love that.
It's also more relatable, right?
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine was more relatable because we see some of our, dare I say, darkness, but we see our flaws in those character flaws. So I get it. A lot of people connect to Deep Space Nine because Next Generation, people have called Pollyannish. And you know what? I call it what you will. Yeah. I prefer Star Trek that shows who we could be because that inspires me. I want to be like them.
Right.
I want to better myself.
Hey, that's a show that made me want to go into the space industry as my career. To
Yeah.
do space exploration. So yeah, really want that. Well,
Yeah.
want the humanity being better part too, but while we're out there in the universe and hopefully.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And
That
Deep
wasn't a
Space
question,
Nine
I know. Yeah.
Deep Space Nine for me too was especially when you got into the Dominion War, like they lost. They were getting it handed to them, which is super relatable because that's how war goes sometimes. It doesn't, I feel like oftentimes in Star Trek, you knew for sure we were going to come out on top,
Mm-hmm.
And in Deep Space Nine, they had seasons where you're like, they might not win this war.
Yeah.
And what would that mean? And how would it, and they had episodes where Cisco did some shady stuff, in the pale moonlight,
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to see how would their characters turn out and would they give in? Would they change who they were in order to have a good outcome with the war or victory? And so it was fascinating and totally different. But I agree with you. Like I think Next Gen probably, without a doubt, mostly really had what appears to be Gene's vision of who we should be. And I think
Yeah.
that's a great way to think about Next Gen. I think that's why in Picard, especially season 3, all the fans of Next Gen were like, "This is right. This is what it's what it's about." That season 3 was huge for us.
Yeah. Yeah. They did a good job bringing that season 3 in. It was necessary.
Well, when we spoke to Mike and Denise Okuda about it, they call season 3 of Picard the 8th season of TNG. That it
Yeah.
was the culmination of everything that they had wanted to get to, and the characters were so well done, and all the little cookies that were left behind for us to enjoy while we were watching it was especially excellent. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have a question, Rod. What are some of your first memories on set of Star Trek or with Star Trek period, going back?
I'll tell this story somewhat quick because I have told it before, and granted, that doesn't mean everyone in the world's heard it, so it might be fairly new. And I think this is a great one. I remember as a kid, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6, something. My father's home office, in the bathroom of his home office, he had his old 9mm projector, like a real projector, and he would go to conventions and show the blooper reels with this thing and stuff like that. And he had the bloopers on there, so he had a little. Well, you can't see my hands. I'll call it probably a 16 by 14 piece of white cardboard. And he put it against the wall and he'd turn on that projector and he'd play the blooper reel for me. And I can't say for certain this is the first and only Star Trek I ever saw, but it's certainly one of the first I ever saw. And I would sit there on the floor and giggle as, Kirk would try to go out the door and it wouldn't open, or someone would slip and fall. And, just if anyone hasn't seen the blooper reel, please go to YouTube and do a Google search for the Star Trek blooper reels. There's a number of them out there. They're fun. They're great. And that was my my introduction to Star Trek. My kiddie introduction to Star Trek. When I got older and started to watch Star Trek, I actually got a few more different introductions. And I will say that as I've grown up and have come back to Star Trek, I watched Next Generation when I was younger, watched it again when I was older. You catch new things, and as you mature, you see things differently. So something that I got out of it as a kid is not the same thing I got out of it when I was an adult. And so that's the beauty of Star Trek. There's often many layers.
Yep. I relate to that really well because, again, being the same age, being very close in age to Wesley Crusher at the time, right? And now when I watch it, I am older than Dr. Crusher and I have a teenage son. So I relate to that. And for a lot of my motherhood, I was also a single mom. So yeah, that's yes. You get, it's a completely different experience watching it now than it was as a teenager, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you notice in your more recent rewatches of TNG that you didn't pick up on when you were younger?
Well, this is a kind of an answer, and I'm not trying to avoid anything, but I'm going to say this first, and then I'll try to answer your question. I remember when Discovery was first being made, and I had some apprehensions about it, just like when Next Generation came out, all the original series fans were like, nothing will be like my old Trek. Can't do anything new. No Kirk Spock. Oh my God. I had a little bit of that. And in watching it, I remember watching, the first couple seasons. I mean, this is over time. And then what I did is I went back and I kind of rewatched all of it together. And that brought it all together a bit more for me. And I was able to appreciate the arcs over the seasons together. And certainly I did it one more time when the fifth season came out and just watched the whole thing together. And I had a much grander appreciation for each season, how different it was, and how the characters evolved and changed. They've done a great job on characters for every one of these current day Star Treks. I'm not saying the other older Star Treks were bad, but if anything is a 10 out of 10, in my opinion, it's the character stories and the character journeys for most of the characters on these shows. And so I was really able to appreciate that. Now going back to something like Next Gen, what have I seen recently? Well, I mean, honestly, I hate to bring up Chain of Command again, but there is a philosophy class, a psychology class, that every now and then I'm the guest of, or one of the many guests of. And they show episodes, and the teacher has the students do their research and kind of discuss scene behaviors, character behaviors, what's going on in the story, and define them in terms of psychology. And going through these episodes, in particular Chain of Command, and listening to these kids talk about it, opens up my eyes to everything. I mean, it's a whole new perspective on an episode, and it's something that I'm really fortunate to be involved in. So I was able to do a few months back, and things that I never noticed they would talk about. And I absolutely love that sort of in-depth thing. And basically, us as Star Trek fans, we're geeks too. Well, not all of us, but most of us do not have that background. Okay. Well, but the background, the psychology background, while we don't have that, we still dig into the characters, and we still want to pull apart and analyze and dig deep. That's what I love about the show, because you can dig deep, because someone was thinking when they wrote that. So anyhow.
No, but you're absolutely right, because nothing ended up on that screen without what the writers came up with.
Yeah.
And we've had writers on the show. We've had Davey Perez from Strange New Worlds on. And it doesn't happen without that idea from the writer's point of view, what they want. They want to tell a story, whatever the story might be. They want to tell a story, and maybe it was layered with some philosophical basis to tell this story. I mean, that is what Star Trek originated as. I mean, your dad wanted to tell these very important stories, but feed it to a 1960s audience that was watching also Lost in Space and the Brady Bunch, or no, it's later on, excuse me. But you know what I mean? There was a lot of, happy variety shows on. And here was a show where a man's half black and half white, and they hate each other. And here's an episode of where we're at war with an unknown enemy, the Romulans. But there was always that idea that we want to tell story and explain something to the American public. And boy, TNG just had more time to work with that. They did.
I really think they did. Yeah. No, I really think they did.
That's 7 seasons is a lot of time, Or maybe sometimes it's not enough time.
And 22 plus episodes a season back in the old days when they were doing a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
Are there some stories or concepts that Trek hasn't done recently that you wish they would do or cover?
Oh my God, you guys are good with these questions. Yeah.
I told you, Rod, we ask the questions, others don't.
We try.
I have one.
Okay.
Although I think there will be a number of answers that they have touched on it. As I think about it. AI. They just don't call it AI, but of course everything from data to what MK5, what
Oh, the M5 computer?
M5
V'ger, yeah,
computer.
yeah.
What's the name of that original series episode where it crashed into an asteroid and there's a name?
Nomad. That's the
Nomad,
Changeling.
to the Changeling. Yeah.
I am perfect.
Thank you,
Wow,
Changeling.
Cris, facts.
So yes, I know arguments can be made against my statement that there's not enough AI, but I think in terms of things that are relevant today, there was. I'm sorry, season 4 of Discovery.
Yes, it was.
The whole
computer.
story.
Mhm.
That was such a touching story. That actually made me cry. Like just how
what's interesting
sweet it was.
The difference between what I've seen, you know, what I've seen in Star Trek versus real world AI is again, you've had a couple rogue AIs in Star Trek, but it's really mostly been a positive experience and positive accepting. Yes, people don't necessarily accept Data as human, but they still accept him. They're not, generally not afraid of him or whatnot. But what's really interesting is the Enterprise computer itself, the Enterprise D computer itself, is an AI and is eerily closer to what we do with ChatGPT and things like that today than anything else. And I actually had put together one of the presentations I give at different conventions. I do an AI in space one, and I actually have a comparison side by side. There was a particular scene in the episode Schisms when they go on the holodeck and they're like, "Hey, show me a table." Oh, well, we have 5,000 representations of table. Give me more information. And I kind of repeated that whole conversation with ChatGPT. It's eerily similar. Really, AI to me is laced throughout all of Trek because you are interacting in a natural language way with that computer.
Very
so I
fair.
think there's a lot of. So I'm sorry to. I think there's so much AI. I think AI is coming out of Star Trek's pores.
It's such a hard thing.
You just qualified what Rod said earlier, which is that we, the viewers, dissect it so much more than they might. Oh, wow, we never even noticed that. We put that in the story. My goodness, I did not know. That's great. We're the ones who point these things out, which is great.
It's such an interesting thing because I'm finding like the more the AI is getting advanced, I'm like very uncomfortable with it. But then I'm also like, well, I love the Doctor. So how do I balance that? Would I be, if I'm on Voyager, I'm absolutely 100% okay with the Doctor operating on me. But am I comfortable with AI doing that if we get to a point where AI can operate on us? And I'm like, how does that? It's such a weird thing of, I'm a fan of these characters and these people like Data and the Doctor, but I'm also very uncomfortable with AI and how it can easily make AI videos and all this kinds of stuff. But it's a weird thing to be going through right now.
No, it's very interesting because I do wonder. So Star Trek, in my opinion, when Star Trek's at its best and in the true Roddenberry way, dare I use my last name on top of this, is when we show the evolution, for example, of AI, and it has to grow to a point where it's learning like a child. And it might have its adolescence and it might act out and it might do things just because it doesn't know better. But hopefully soon, sooner rather than later, I should say, it comes to its adult years and its more wise years. And that's I think they kind of showed that. They showed it, I think, in a number of sci-fi shows. But I really sort of appreciate when they show that it is a life form coming into its own and trying to understand it itself and the world and the beings around it and how it fits within that. And I'm hoping that's what happens with our AI. I'm not hoping for the bad that happens at the beginning.
Right.
But it makes sense that as an AI is discovering itself. And by the way, I know we all throw out the word AI and it means many different things. I'm talking about true self-growth, self-determination, self-understanding of some sort of created intelligence that is growing beyond its creation. Yes.
Data.
Yes, data. Yeah, exactly. Data. And will become, hopefully, a peaceful. I don't think anything, machine or human, can look at the future and say, the way we get to a better future is by harming, hurting, and taking advantage of others.
Yeah.
There's just we don't survive if that's the mindset. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, prove me wrong. Unless your
Yeah.
goal is to be the only thing left, in which case, what's the point of life?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's well said.
I agree. I also think, Rod, you said something earlier about you get to sit in front of college students and uh, talk about kind of this stuff, philosophy and in
I
the
get to listen
world,
to
and
them.
that, yeah. And I just was able to sit in a room with college students recently, and it is remarkable how they view the world. That is so different. And there are a couple, I'm going to say a couple generations, it's probably three or four behind me, but it is remarkable to see them and how they view the world. And it is not so pessimistic as I think we are led to believe. I think
Great. Good.
I think
Mhm.
that they really have a desire to see humanity grow, to for justice, true justice for everybody, to not see people go hungry. Like I am impressed and encouraged by what I'm seeing, for sure in younger people, and I think I wish more of them would watch Star Trek so they could be
Mhm.
inspired all the more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm doing my part to help with that, but
Good.
I'm like 10 years ago I remember hearing folks saying, "Oh man, this next generation we're going back a few steps." I think they're wrong. I think that they've got the hope. They've got that idea that there is a better future, and we're not going to achieve it through war. We're not going to achieve it through all of the things that divide us as humans. And so
Yeah.
I have great hope in that. And it's the younger generation, man. They got some good ideas.
I love
Um,
hearing that. That's
Mhm.
wonderful.
yeah, I mean, they're inheriting our planet. They're inheriting our society. They're inheriting this, what we have, and they don't want. I think really they go. You know what? We can't mess it up because if we do, it's our own downfall. So yeah, I think the positivity that Brian's talking about is hopefully becoming more prevalent. Maybe it's the older people that the ones that we're so set in our ways. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
not one of them. I'm not one of them, mind you, but so set in their ways that they don't want to let things evolve and progress. And I think that,
Yeah.
that's where it's a time where, the older people got to maybe step aside for a moment, let the younger kids come in with fresher ideas, newer ideas, and let them develop.
Yeah, we have to let them fail too. And we have to
Yeah.
be there when they fail to say, "Hey, we failed too. Now what are
Hmm.
you going to do? We're still here with you."
Yeah.
Like it's a stepping back, letting them do stuff, but it's also being there with them. So we have their back. So we say we believe in you, like go have the new ideas, have the fresh take on things and
Sure.
experiment and try new things.
Yeah.
And so I think it's both. I think we
Yeah.
let them
Yeah.
run, but we try to run with them, but let them kind of determine some more direction than
Yeah.
maybe we did in the past. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
all right, I'm done. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I appreciate. I
Yeah.
appreciate that thought. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of shifting gears and talking about the future, if you don't mind. There's some new people that are at the top of the totem pole of Paramount production.
Yes.
Guy by the name of Davy Ellison, something like that. Yeah, and supposedly
Davey,
Davy
huh?
likes Star Trek. So with
That's the rumor.
that's if that's a good rumor, which we all hope it is,
Yeah.
there has been talk about other episodes. We have a new season, a new series coming forward, Academy,
Hmm.
set deep into the future.
Hmm.
Okay, but there's been talk about Legacy following Picard. There's been talk about Unity, bringing back
Yeah.
Archer as a potential.
Oh,
As since you are deep in the belly of the Star Trek beast, is any of this possible? Have they sat down and said, "Hey, Rod, this is what we'd like to do going forward"? Have those without because you can't tell us
Right, this
because
is this
then
is
Yeah,
possibly
this
an
is
unfair
get
question.
you're
yeah, this is
spoiling
getting
the
to like
future for
NDA
us. But is
territory.
is is there a future of newer and other shows coming forward?
Well, I mean, let me give you a little background first, and forgive me for mansplaining this to man and woman and audience, if they already know.
You're Rod splaining it. You're Rod
I'll Rod
splaining it.
explain it. I'll Rod explain it.
Oh man.
So, my father, when he, created Star Trek and brought it out, he sold it to Desilu at the time. And when he sold it to them, he retained certain creative control rights and all sorts of stuff. And those rights, as it shifted through NBC and Paramount and all of that, as long as he was alive, they stayed with him. But when he passed away, that died with him. The rights did not fall to me. So I have never had any creative control in Star Trek until, and I want to be very clear about this, roughly 2017, when we negotiated a seat at the table in terms of this new Star Trek.
Okay.
And that's what I have. I have a seat at the table. If you guys have seen the executive producer list on these shows, you'll see there's 9, 10, 12 executive producers.
My wife likes to count them.
Yes. And for those of you who don't know, an executive producer can be anyone who's from anyone who's on the set every day, working with the writers, helping them develop stories, in it, on it, in it, going through everything, to it could be someone who puts in money. It could be someone with a famous last name. It can be anything. And so while we have a seat at the table and we get all the scripts and everything that comes through, we send in our notes and ideas. We do not run the show. I do not run Star Trek. No one comes to me, as you said earlier, and says, what can we do next? Can we do this next? They go to other people, mostly at Secret Hideout, and they say, that's where the ideas are either created or have to go through or decided to take action on. And we've had our opportunity with them when season 2 of Discovery came out and Anson Mount took on the role of Pike. The way it was written, the way he came on the bridge there and truly acted like a Starfleet captain, the real kind of Starfleet captain, fans went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And by no means taking credit. I'm sure Secret Hideout had this in their mind as well, but we went to them and we said, listen, you've got to do something. I mean, he's phenomenal for the role. The fans love him. It's a great opportunity to tell the story. And what was great about that is, I can't remember if it was a number of days later or a week later, we got a call saying, you know what, we're going to do it. And so, we get to collaborate to some degree with these people, these entities, and but sometimes no. I mean, sometimes we're the last to find out. Sometimes, and sometimes we disagree, and that's fine. That's but I just wanted to make that clear that the Roddenberry family does not run or control or create the new Star Trek. We are cogs in the machine, just like everyone else, and we do our part to try to keep it as Star Trek as we think it can be.
That's excellent. No,
Cool.
that's all we're hoping, because, since your legacy goes back to your dad, 1 degree of Gene Roddenberry, you do have feelings, you have opinions, you have thoughts.
Very strong ones.
And Metalis, is that right? Terry Metalis?
Yes.
Yeah. From our last interview with Doug Drexler, he is very proud that guy is in a position of creativity because he's driving the show in the right direction, or he feels it's the right direction of where Trek. And Doug, just like myself, started watching it on September the 8th, 1966. So, we are relying.
He's saying he's old.
Gee, grandpa.
Hey, back in my day, candy wouldn't. Anyway.
To him, us 51-year-olds are young.
You're just kids. You're babies.
It is awful cool.
You're just slightly older than my oldest daughter. Okay, just so you know.
Oh boy.
Okay, but that's all right. We feel young at heart, but it is important that we know that there's people who loves Trek as much as we do, and are going to do their darndest to make it something that we can all ages can love and enjoy.
Yeah, and that is a real challenge, making the original fans happy and bringing in a new audience. there's a reason why I haven't ever said I want to run Star Trek or have ever pushed to make that happen. A, I'm not a writer and I'm not a producer. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. I'm just not. But B, I want to say it's a no-win situation, but it's a hefty task. It's and at some point you've got to make what you think it is, and you recognize that there's going to be people who disagree with that. And so I the burden that a lot of the people have who are creating these shows and writing them, it's tough. I definitely have feelings for them because it's a tough battle, and you're going to win some and you're going to lose some, and you've got to decide why you're doing what you're doing. Now, what I will say though is that we won't go too far into this, but we are at a time right now where we need things like Star Trek and Star Trek more than ever. I mean, you guys have all said it. We're all on the same page. But I think Star Trek needs to be less about war, less about fighting, less about conflict in the way that I described earlier, and more about who we can be, what our potential is, what a better future could look like, what diversity brings us. We've forgotten, well, when I say we, I mean many have forgotten the benefits to diversity. If we all think the same, we will never evolve. The cavemen, if they all thought the same, we would still be cavemen today. Someone took a chance and did something different. Everything we do different is a step in our intellectual evolution. We grow and learn from that. And if we aren't exposing ourselves to different things, trying different things, meeting new people, finding people with ideas that contradict ours and learning from that, we don't grow, we don't evolve. And that is IDIC, that is diversity, and that is probably the single most important thing in our evolution. Yes, you've got the IDIC charm there.
I've got the little earring. I have little IDIC earrings that I was wearing today. Little pride IDIC earrings that I was wearing today.
Yes.
Right here.
So I just think we just need a lot more of that in Star Trek, and less fighting and learning from our mistakes. There's too much of that for me right now.
We all agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a really stupid question right now, Rod.
Sure.
Now I'm curious.
There are no stupid questions.
If you could be doing something else, what would it be?
Years ago, I might have said
second.
Yeah.
Told you.
It's another good question. I used to be an avid scuba diver, and everywhere I went, it was about jumping in the water. Still love the ocean, but I just haven't done it that much in recent years.
Yeah.
I am really enjoying nature. I take my son camping, and I love off-roading, and I love getting into the mountains and the wilderness, and I love being sort of alone up there or with a small group or just, people I care about. And I'm in a phase of my life where I love connecting with nature and getting to those just idealistic, beautiful places that wow, we're the only ones here in this moment. This is a special experience, and truly appreciating that. In my older years, I'm starting to appreciate the quality of moments rather than the quantity. I still got a long way to go. But
because we're not
starting
old.
to get there. No, we're not old.
We're not old. We're not young, but we're not old.
No.
Correct.
And I think that's really true. I mean, I'm 69, but I feel like I'm 32 inside, even though sometimes I feel like I'm 69. But still,
it is a mindset.
It is truly. It truly is a mindset. And I'm lucky to have these really young kids that I work with on this podcast, just to have so much fun with and to be enjoying it so very, very much. And we all learn from each other when we have these discussions, I mean, that's it. We don't want to know, like I wrote to you, I said, we don't want to talk about how many phasers are on the D versus the A, blah, blah, blah. What we want to do is what we've done today, which is to learn about yourself and to learn more about, because there is a philosophy about Star Trek. There is deep meaning in every episode, and that's the beauty of maybe, as you said, dissecting it in some philosophy class about what Star Trek means to everyone.
Yeah. And it's too easy of a question to ask how many phasers are on a D versus the A. I mean, that's just child's play. We wouldn't even waste time with that.
I couldn't answer it.
I couldn't either.
But I do remember.
I'm now
being.
thinking about this. I'm like, can I answer it? I don't know. I don't think I'm right.
I do remember being at one of my very first conventions, and someone asked that question, and this little kid went, "I can tell you how many. Well, there are on the," and he's like described on the D exactly where all the phasers were and everything. I went,
"There's two."
That's adorable.
Oh.
That is really special. That is really special.
Well, we can talk about another great topic I love,
which is
the Orville.
Orville's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Orville's really
I have
cool.
to bring that up because that is the best love letter to Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it's great in its own right. And applause and kudos to Seth MacFarlane for coming up with stories that really do make you think, that bring up social issues that are relevant today, and really make you see or experience two sides of the argument. And make you go, wow, okay, I never thought of it that way. That is Star Trek at its best, and that is Orville at its best.
Yeah.
And here's a guy who loves Star Trek and appeared as a character in Enterprise and had a chance. He said, I got money, I got influence. This is what I want to do. Okay, networks, let's go. I mean, that's using power for good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is absolutely a great, fabulous show. Love that show.
And if
so
anyone
much.
out there hasn't seen it yet and they enjoy Star Trek, you've got to watch it.
It is great.
Yeah, it's really
great
good.
stuff.
I know we're awaiting the new season, which I don't know where that's at, but hopefully soon. Hopefully we get some new.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah. Anything else, kids?
Well, I've got an hour's worth of questions, but we don't have another hour. So you're going to have to come back and visit us again sometime.
Oh, absolutely. Happy to. This has been a pleasant discussion. And you guys asked like simple but super hard questions. Like I was like, I didn't think I'd have to think this hard.
Well,
that's a great compliment. We appreciate that.
Well,
yes, thank you very much.
You're in a place where the Mai Tais are delicious. So yes, have a good time. I'm going to close with a little interesting story I want to share with you, Rod. And we talk about the future of Star Trek. Who are the next fans of Star Trek? Now, everyone here knows that I volunteer at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, and I take people to their various appointments at the hospital. I wear this red apron, and I have pins on it, and one of the pins is a Star Trek pin. Anyway, I was on the elevator, and this mother looked at me, and she said, "Sweetie," to her daughter, little Rosie, who was 4 years old, "Look, sweetie, look at the pin." She goes, he goes, "You know what that means?" And she goes, "Yes, Enterprise." And she goes, "And who's your favorite captain?" "Picard." And I was like, whoa, how does she know this? And she goes, she and her dad watch TNG. And she knows all the characters and she knows all about it. Wow. And she loves it so very much. And so I said, well, I'm going to be reading to the kids a little later. If you want to stop by, I'd love to see you one more time. And so they came by and they sat down while I read to the kids. And when they were all done, she said, she wants to show you something. I said, what's that? And she did the Vulcan salute to me.
Oh, that's cool.
And this is
so
a
sweet.
4-year-old little girl. So to me, Star Trek is alive if we adults share it with our kids.
Trying.
I mean, Brian, tell Rod the middle name of your son.
Tiberius.
Ooh. Did you really?
His middle name, Brody Tiberius. Rod. Parting of the Red Sea miracle in the Bible, and my wife letting me name my son after freaking Captain James C. Kirk. They're the same, and just amazing. So
that is a patient, tolerant, loving woman.
I was patient, tolerant during her pregnancy. Let's just
that's
say.
fair. Okay,
and my sister-in-law reminded her of that, and that's how I got the name. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, he's a new Trekkie too. So
what a cool, unique
having
name.
fun.
Yeah. How old is he now?
Yeah.
Yeah. He is 9 years old.
Yeah,
9
he's
years
9
old.
years old.
And he
So-
doesn't use that name at all. I don't know if the kids they got a cool short name for it, or they're like, nope, never tell him my middle name, Dad.
I call him Brody Tiberius all the time, and sometimes
Nice.
people recognize it or they're curious about where Tiberius. That sounds
That
Roman.
sounds really cool.
But it's fun. It's been a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
anyways.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All
Very
right,
cool.
Steve.
All right. Well, listen. In closing, I have to say, first off, I need to thank our good friend Jeffrey Morris for inviting me for a showing of his film, The Eagle Obsession. And that is where I met Rod and made the initial invitation to appear on our podcast. And Rod didn't even bat an eye. He just said yes about appearing right away. And I can't thank Jeffrey enough for giving me the opportunity to meet Rod. And thank you again for agreeing to be on the podcast, sir. Your insight
Absolutely.
into life and that of the life in Star Trek has been most illuminating. And going back to the game, we are all winners in that we have Rod on our podcast. And to our listeners, we, the members of the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, are grateful for your continuation in following our show. We love it if you can offer your thoughts and opinions on your favorite platform, be it Trek Geeks or something else. And you never know who's going to be a future guest on the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, but it's hard to get any better than having the son of Gene Roddenberry on our show. And as always, I leave you with these parting words. Look to the skies, live long and prosper.
Met him in Arizona back in '93. Desert sand and mountain ranges, far as the eye could see. There was something about him, you could read it in his eye. I couldn't wait to ask him that night as we camped around the fire. He was a dreamer, a mystery to be solved. He wasn't a preacher, wasn't holy at all. He was a searcher, reaching out for something more. Another hard worker, just looking for an open door. They call him the dreamer, 'cause he walks his own path. He's no stranger to the heartache of his past. He wouldn't trade his life regardless of where he's been. No matter what mistakes he's made, he'd do it all over again. He was a dreamer, a mystery to be solved. He wasn't a preacher, wasn't holy at all. But he was a searcher, reaching out for something more. Another hard worker, just looking for an open door. Looking for an open door. Sat there in silence, watched the fire dance. At that point I wondered if I had met this man by chance. He stood up and smiled at me as the sun he never had. He said, I hope you clearly see that life is harder up ahead. Yes, I'm a dreamer, a mystery to be solved. I'm not a preacher, I'm not holy at all. I am a searcher, reaching reaching out for something more. Another hard worker, just looking for an open door. If you're a dreamer, keep on looking for that open door. If you're a searcher, keep on reaching out for something more. No matter what the world says, you gotta keep your eye on through. Just put one foot in front of the other and your dreams will all come true. Dreams will all come